In the stories of Middle-earth there are yet some that have received little renown, for the tales of the return of the King of Gondor during that time overshadowed them, and word of them has reached few. One of these histories, where under the shadow of that light endures the tale of Dynnagon and Iricine. Here it is told in few words. Proud Captain Dynnagorn, a lost descendant of Gondor, a leader of the free people's fight in the Ettenmoors, was saved one day by fair Elven Lady Iricine the Beloved. It was not mere chance that they met that day, but devised by a higher purpose she was sent that they were met that moment. Many years they fought together, and love flourished between them until they planned to seal the bond in a union that was never meant to be. They invited all the free people of Eriador to join in the festivities in the contested region of Ettenmoors where they dwell. There the armies of Ingame learned of his gathering, and fearing their foes uniting under singular banner, they proposed to intervene ere ruin would befall them. The orc captain of the gathering perceived his forces as scattered, and would make an alliance with Gago, an ancient rockmole who marshalled the forces of Thor that dwelt in deep caves beneath those lands. Gago promised safe passage for the orcs through his secret tunnels, allowing them to come upon the forces of the free peoples at unaware. As the day of the festivities came, all the strength of arms of the free peoples of Eriador was marshalled in the Ettenmoors in protection of Othrindir, where the ceremony was to be held. With the aid of Gago's secret tunnels, a sizable force of orcs managed to evade the main army of the free peoples and overran the keep defenses. As the orcs threatened to strike at the unarmed guests and all hope had faded, Dynnagorn ordered his men gathered there to seek escape with Iricine. He took up his arms and on his head replaced his helm, which was passed down to him from his grandfathers. Silver-winged ears crafted by the smith Brumendel in the past ages as a gift between the kindreds of elves and men when they were still bounded in an alliance. He then railed all remaining tower guards under his banner, driving back the orcs for a while, allowing his bride and guests to escape if they may. At whiles he found himself alone, his men slain about him in heap, and all the forces of Ingame swarmed against him. Then he cast aside his banner and wielded a sword two-handed. Fair and terrible he seemed in that hour, and his helm glowed red in the light of the rising sun. By the command of the orc captain, however, he was taken alive, for the orcs grappled him with their hands but clung to him still though he heaved off their arms. And ever though their numbers were renewed, until at last he fell buried beneath them. They bound and dragged him to the secret tunnels and escaped. But they were betrayed, for Gago desired the dominion of the Ettenmoors for himself alone. As the orc passed through his cave, safe passage was denied, and they were beset from all sides. Most of them were cruelly slain, while only some managed to escape to the surface with their captain. Dynnagon was taken and brought before Gago, who perceived him in great strength and wished to corrupt him to his will. But Dynnagon defied him and mocked him. Then Gago cursed Dynnagon and showed him false visions of what had befallen after he was taken by the orcs.
Look now through my eyes, and see the ruin of thy people. How thy beloved was denied escape, for death has come to them.
And Dynnagon despaired, for through Gago's guile the visions seemed to him as truth retold. And great rage and bloodlust was kindled in his heart, and he fell into a sleep of grief. But fair Lady Iricine was not slain. Her company, suffering great losses, had fought their way up in the high pass to Glenraig, and in safety escaped the onslaught. Thinking her husband and his party all were defeated, she mourned his passing and dwelt in Rivendell in the house of Elven. For she hearkened to war no more without her beloved at her side. Still Gago sought to further evil between his enemies, and although his refuge of underground tunneling was vast and outstretched under the misty mountains, most of his minions yet ill endured the light of the sun, so they could not venture above ground for a great period of time. When therefore he judged the time ripe, he released Dynnagorn from his bondage and allowed him to travel his tunnels to arise east of the misty mountains. And he feigned that in this he was moved by pity as for an enemy utterly defeated. But he lied, for his purpose was that Dynnagon should still further his hatred for orcs, men, and elves, ere he died. Then little though he trusted the words of Gago, Dynnagon took his freedom and went forth in grief, embittered by passing off Iricine and their following, and without hope for better days. He but carried his sword and his helm and wandered aimlessly at the feet of the misty mountains. And there he joined himself to a band of such houseless and desperate men as could be found in those evil days lurking in the wild. And their hands were turned against all who came in their path, elves and men and orcs. Dynnagon abode long amongst the outlaws and became their champion and the leader, and he named himself Dynnagorn. Words passed about the lands of the terrors they bought, and whispers of the silver ears of the east by time reached Lord Elven in Rivendell, and was passed down to Arison the Beloved. A company of elves was then assembled, and at their head Arison rode in her golden dress towards the lands east and north of the misty mountains. After long months of traveling, they came upon the outlaws. It chanced that at that time Dynnagon was gone from the camp, and the outlaws seized Arison and her company and bound them, and treated them cruelly, for they feared them as spies. But Dynnagon, returning and seeing in amazement his bride and her company held captive, opened his heart, and the darkness that veiled his spirit was lifted. Dynnagon forswore thenceforward an oath of revenge on all that had conspired to separate them, and Arison vowed never to leave his side again, even be it by his command. All that had followed them rejoiced, and they rode back to Rivendell in great force. Gathering such strength of arms along the way as has not been seen since the battle for Fornost. They call now upon the free people of Middle-earth to unite under a singular banner and wage war against the armies of Angmar and the forces of Thrall, with renewed hope and strength.